Organisers of festivals have been left in a perilous position after the announcement of a delay to lifting England's COVID restrictions. The Black Deer Country Music Festival that would have happened at the end of next week in Kent has been cancelled. Those still scheduled for after the supposed terminus date of July the 19th are wondering if they can rely on it and why the government hasn't responded to their calls for an insurance scheme. Peter Gabriel's WOMAD Festival has been running for 40 years, and this year it is due to kick off on July the 22nd. He's been telling me what they're grappling with. Organisers of festivals have been left in a perilous position after the announcement of a delay to lifting England's COVID restrictions. The Black Deer Country Music Festival that would have happened at the end of next week in Kent has been cancelled. Those still scheduled for after the supposed terminus date of July the 19th are wondering if they can rely on it and why the government hasn't responded to their calls for an insurance scheme. Peter Gabriel's WOMAD Festival has been running for 40 years, and this year it is due to kick off on July the 22nd. He's been telling me what they're grappling with.
Well, the problem for us is that we don't have enough time after these 4 weeks to sort of do a setup. So there are a lot of costs incurred. And I think, in some ways I'm speaking for a lot of the festival industry, particularly the independents, because we're not asking for handouts. I mean, we'd be quite happy if the government were willing to underwrite us for them to make money out of that. What we need, though, is the security, because most of us can't take the risk of losing everything once we're committed to the setup.
Your festival, WOMAD, is scheduled to be just after what's been described by the Prime Minister as the terminus date of July the 19th. Does that not give you sufficient confidence?
Confidence, possibly, but not time. This was going to be a magic date that we've just passed. And so I think with the virus seemingly controlled by vaccines, but not for certain, it's too much uncertainty for most festival promoters to take the risk.
The government was quite, it just wouldn't be drawn on the insurance idea early on or earlier in all of this. And commercial insurance hasn't been available, has it? So does that mean any costs that you have incurred and that you will incur in the next few weeks, those are all being borne by WOMAD?
Yeah, so commercial insurance has run a mile effectively, and you can understand why. And I think 1 in 4 adults goes to festivals. Well, I was amazed to discover that over 50% of people would rather go to a festival than a European holiday. They are important in people's lives, and they're sort of big community events as well as sort of entertainment. And so if we're trying to restore cultural life and normality, then we do need a bit of help here. And there are amazing people who create and support and construct and run these festivals, and they have had very little help so far. We've tried to do some things for our own staff, but generally in the festival world, they are suffering, a lot of these crews. So we need it's a huge industry now, and we would like to get some confidence and security from something like an insurance, some sort of underwriting scheme.
Would you personally be comfortable then with the idea of thousands of people coming to WOMAD, third week of July? We've seen the trajectory on cases and the Delta variant, etc. You'd still feel that, from your point of view, would be safe and responsible for it to go ahead?
Well, I think we have to rely on the advice of people who know much more and understand much better what the statistics mean and what story they're telling. But if we're doing these test events and we're doing the Euros or Ascot, let's give the festival sector a chance too, because that will, maybe it's a different sector of the population, but they deserve a go at this as well.
How do you feel when you see things like Ascot and the football and potentially Andrew Lloyd Webber's new show being treated as a test event, the sort of green light for other things with some limitations to go ahead?
Well, it's very difficult, and obviously we want to be included. The vaccine program has been amazing and is seeming to have an impact. And, I'm going to a couple of things too where I've had to do my lateral flow test. So there are ways that are clearly proving effective at the moment. So if we can just lock those in and get some support for this independent festivals, particularly, but all the festival sector, then I think we can have a great summer.
And if you don't get that from the government now, Are you thinking about cancelling WOMAD?
I think we have to. We've been faced with bankruptcy on 2 occasions previous to that. And if we're trying to secure the future of the festival, which is very important to us and our staff, we can't risk sinking it this year.
So how long is there before you'd have to take that decision? Because we wouldn't get the green light for the 19th of July, presumably till the 12th. Is that too late?
I mean, every day, there's costs incurred for all of us. So I think the sooner the better. Otherwise, we're going to have to cancel.
Do you still have hope? Do you think the government will have a change of heart on insurance now that June the 21st has ended up being delayed?
I mean, perhaps it hasn't been presented to them, but if they can actually make money out of it and by acting as our insurance brokers, then I think they solve the problem. And they're not then taking, they're not just plowing money in that isn't going to come back. That's not what we're asking for. We're just asking for some security.
Even if you got charged a really high premium, you mean you'd feel it was worth it?
Well, it depends what really high is, but probably I think a lot of people would move forward at that point because they'd feel, the whole castle isn't going to come tumbling down because the setup costs for these events are enormous. So if there's no income coming back, it'll destroy many festivals.
I imagine it's been a really stressful time organising in all this uncertainty and then having the worst news on Monday.
Well, yeah, it is a stressful time for sure. But, it's tough for a lot of people in a lot of different fields. So we're not alone, but I think this is an easy one to solve and needn't cost the government anything. As I said, they could actually profit from it.
Peter Gabriel, thank you very much.
It is 7:38, time for another look at this morning's papers and news websites, where there's plenty of discussion about Dominic Cummings' publication of expletive-ridden